It's time for time to delve further into this Rootin' Tootin' Texas Showdown, Matt. We are blessed to have had this Texas Showdown happen twice in the same month, and now the stakes are higher than ever because the winner obviously goes to Hawaii.
Yeah, this is the most important battle of Texas we've seen, right? The winner of this goes to our final four of the May Melee, and it's a doozy because the Dallas Fuel seem to be a team that is kind of hitting their stride, right? They play a play style that a lot of other teams don't because of the situation that they have in terms of, XC retiring, not having that, McCree player, long-range hit scan. But Fearless has been an absolute beast. He has been on fire. I think, personally, if you were to say there's an MVP of the tournament thus far for the West, I would potentially say it is Fearless. He's been that good. Nothing surprising here with the Dallas Fuel roster to kick things off. They were doing a lot of subs with Jexay and Fielder and Repel. It seems like at least for now, though, you've seen Jexay and Fielder in the good amount of the time.
Yeah, they might be settling a little bit more on that. Here are your power rankings with IBM Watson coming into this week. And you can see this team. I mean, you can see how they're ranked. Sparkle and Doha very close there. They're in the top 20. Fearless is at 13, which is kind of wild to us, right? I feel like maybe if they beat the Outlaws in week one, that looks a little bit differently, right? But, it's more than just the eye test that sort of makes us feel like Fearless is so dominant. The numbers that he is putting up are actually quite ridiculous. And, both of these teams dealt with the San Francisco Shock. A team that still is definitely considered to be very high caliber, despite the fact that my fans now think I hate them because I tweeted something speculative about their era being over. But, both Fearless and Jangu handed fat L's to the front line of the San Francisco Shock, which makes, this clash so much more exciting here.
Yeah, no, we see the Houston Outlaws starting lineup. Dante, good to see him back in the starting lineup. Had to sit the last game. KSF did come in, play great for Dante, but Dante, one of the more important pieces to this Houston Outlaws lineup. And the tank line has just been unreal. You see Jungwoo and Piggy, number 2 and number 1 in terms of our IBM Watson power rankings. Crimzo up there high.
The numbers don't lie, Matt.
This is you look at the power rankings, they are all up there near the top. Obviously valuing the wins that the Houston Outlaws have put on the board. I'm going to say something that may be a little bit crazy.
Okay.
I bet you the Outlaws, this is going to sound weird. I almost think that they would have rather seen the Shock here than the Fuel. For the standpoint of, you know what the Shock is going to play pretty consistently map to map. The subs they're going to make, what they're going to play. They want to play the rush. They're willing to match you in that, and you've already beat them in it, and you think maybe that you've kind of gotten enough footage and they've had some other close games to Shock that you would have been able to figure something out and use it to your advantage. The Fuel come in and it's just an absolute wild card. They come out with Sparkle on a Genji, then he's on Doomfist.
And play Orisa Sigma Genji, whatever, man.
And nobody else is playing this. So you can't even practice against another team that can throw these types of looks at you. You have to just kind of come up with the solutions on the fly, which I think is much scarier to a team in the situation that the Outlaws were in, because you're waiting for a team to come through. You'd much rather deal with the known quantity than, whatever the Dallas Fuel decide to do.
You liked it so much the first time we gave you another one. That's right, we're running back the Texas Showdown here with a twist. The winner will be one of the 2 teams sent by the Western region to represent it as they go head-to-head in the May Melee. That is a big honor and a big deal in a region as stacked as this Western one is. Scott said it on the desk. He said the Dallas Fuel are not the same team they were in week 1, Matt. Let's now gauge how they've evolved.
In week 1, this goes to game 5. It's not like it was an absolute blowout in the week 1. And this map, Busan, was played in that week 1 matchup, and it goes to the 3rd point. Houston Outlaws end up taking it, but still was a very close game. And I agree with Scott, because the Dallas Fuel, this is the first game of the season for both of these teams, this Battle of Texas. The Dallas Fuel are coming in with, XC retiring a few days before. They didn't really have an opportunity to kind of reset everything, figure out what they're going to do. So they come out with Tracer Sombra Dive to kick things off.
This is such an anti-flanker setup, Matt. Look at the Torb.
Yeah, Dante on the Torb. Torb, this is not your traditional comp. Torb, Tracer, Ball, Zarya. Very odd composition here for the Houston Outlaws early on.
This is how you anti-strat the Dallas Fuel, right? Okay, so what is susceptible to long-range hit scan? Torbjorn. What is very good against low-health flankers that need to, get out with mobility? Torbjorn. This can be difficult for the Dallas Fuel to deal with here, but they take the point early and they get rid of Crimzo. Not enough time ready for Dante to get value from the Torb, and Sparkle just slaps him around the chops.
It's the dive has been so good for the Dallas Fuel, so coordinated. They're able to push them back. The Torbjorn, not enough in terms of the anti-dive, anti-flank coming in, as they'll immediately play the Echo, where this is where Dante should be able to dominate, right? Up in the sky on a hero like the Echo. No answer for it on the other side.
Happy looks pleased to be on the Tracer. Pretty darn decent looks from him over the last few weeks, but definitely Sparkle, who shone in that previous fight. Here's a coalescence here from the Dallas Fuel. They want to make as much use of it as possible, and well, they deliver it. Airmail, FedEx to Piggy's face, and they remove the Zarya first. The rest of the Outlaws crumble. And Dallas played his composition right, which is kind of the antithesis to Echo anyway. It wants to end the fight quickly. Echo would like to spend some time over a prolonged fight and work down a tank, with focusing being the Outlaws.
And you just end up using the coalescence there for the Dallas Fuel. You're going to come back in this next fight, self-destruct, sound barrier, EMP. You have enough. You have an opportunity to just pop this EMP and then just cycle ultimates and win this first point.
Happy has a pulse bomb. The Diva's in the way, annoyingly. If he can just chip the paintwork a little bit, the pulse bomb does a lot more. Oh, they catch the backline. Wow, Doha. I mean, he was flying Emirates trying to get that EMP, but it works. Both Juby and Crimzo are caught by that one, and another fight right off the back of that. Guess what, Matt? They're starting to cycle some ultimates here. Fearless has a primal.
And like you said, the Dallas Fuel, they know they're going to finish these fights so quick that when they dive in, the Outlaws have a few players who go back to the point to try and draw them back. They're not even worried about it. So much mobility for the Dallas Fuel lineup. They know they're going to finish these kills off quick. They just finish the players off in the back line, then go to the point, as that's going to be Sparkle taking out Happy.
Dallas Fuel now have Fearless in position to do what he does best. Juggle these fools with those flailing fists of fury. Unbidden? No way. Okay, he avoids the coalescence from his teammates, so he's not going to stay in the mech, but still, he can just resuit after the self-destruct. Crimzo's gone down now, so the Outlaws just look horrible in a long fight. But Fearless can still sneak back in. Happy loses the pulse bomb that could have relieved the pressure on them now. A duplicate to the Diva buys some time, but doesn't do a lot in terms of the personnel disparity. And the Dallas Fuel, they look good, forced into playing these sort of double flanker comps, but they make it work so well with the Moira.
And this is a composition that I think you will see. I remember when the Justice, they started to play that Hog Zarya, and it started to pick up with some other teams. I think almost like forced into necessity with the Sombra Tracer, with the Moira in the mix. I think you're going to see other teams start to incorporate that. I think that composition is very strong, as we'll see what they decide to do going into Mecha Base. Both teams right now, looks like the Outlaws potentially play a little bit more long range with the Sigma in the mix. Maybe Happy goes over and plays McCree. You know you're not going to see McCree here from the Dallas Fuel. So they'll probably stay on the sim, and they're going to play really brawly.
Now Happy goes down. Oh my! Field Sparkle as well. This fight's already over. It's absolutely over.
Ugh. It's not a great start for the Outlaws today.
How does he get the sideline against double shield? I have no idea.
I was wondering that as well, is how he's able to get that kill so fast at the start of the round with the Batiste. But I mean, you have this TP set up. It's really interesting because you want to close the gap with these sim comps and play very close quarter, obviously.
So annoying.
And you have the TP to go side to side to be able to close the gap instantly. That's a Maywall from Doha. It's not a great one, though. They don't catch anybody
early.
out.
Yeah. Okay, a TP, very creative use there on the fly by the Outlaws, and they get to Fielder. Not only do they get a great high ground position to descend from, but they catch the Batiste out. Fielder had an amplification matrix available. Now he'll have to sit on that for the time being. Excellent little variation there from the Outlaws, and that is adaptability at its best.
yeah, being able to use the TP to get the high ground, come behind, it's huge. It's, you see Happy, Junggu leading the way, just beaming them down as once the sim starts to get charged up. You know, the only thing holding her back is she's a little squishy in terms of the DPS, but man, she can start pumping out the damage.
In a player advantage or like in a situation where the enemy team's trying to disengage, she will absolutely roll you. Shadow, no good. Shield was kept up there. Nicely done. Fearless didn't want to drop the shield for the extra speed because he had a Lucio speed boost anyway. He gets there, but Doha falls. And Matrix Shatter. Oh, that one is big! Happy Crimzo picking all caught and Harpin follows up, gets rid of the Symmetra. Fearless wants to push forward now. The Fuel getting ready behind him. Fearless can't get outside the Gravitic Flux. The timing was perfect for Piggy to make sure the Reinhardt charge did not find its mark, but still, the Fuel are in a powerful spot now. They'll take the low ground just to get the flip.
Oh, but still to lose your May at the start. Oh, we got a self-destruct going on through. So that's going to be the Blizzard as well. What a creative play there from Dallas.
These teleporters happening mid-fight or to start fights on a dime are so hard to track.
But this is why you would have, this is why I said what I said, where you would have been like, okay, at least with the shock, we know what we're going to see. I mean, the Dallas Fuel, they play so different and so creative compared to a lot of other teams. And it's something we talked about a little bit on Plancha leading into the season. Rush did an interview, and when he was asked about their hit scan issues, he was like, well, we just believe that we are good enough at enough things, and we can set the meta and really create it. We're not really worried about playing whatever everybody else is playing at. And that's a little bit of a risky take, right? But, I mean, they are proven that it's working out. Big fire strike there from Fearless.
There's the TP, high ground. Fielder in a good spot to get good air matrix value, though. These TPs are scary. At any moment, the enemy team could be in your pantry, eating your Wheaties. But the Outlaws now have to use an Immortality Field to keep Sparkle alive. Well, Sparkle goes down, rather, as Junggu's able to find that kill. It was Happy that was kept alive with the Immortality Field, and the Outlaws now should be able to flip things back, but this has been an absolute slugfest. Crimzo can't use the Exo Boots to get away there, and the Outlaws, they come out on top just barely.
You still have Just Say Alive here, hanging out in the mid. He was contesting for a little bit, and they get some kills trickling out towards the end. Do they try and speed back in, take another quick fight? You have that Sparkle Symmetra wall again, where you did a nice job with like the Symmetra wall, and then also a really nice Shatter.
Oh my, the Gravitic Flux, good call from Junggu. We knew the Fuel were going to come through the TP, so it's just a matter of wait and see and Shatter, apparently. Hanbin is desuited, and Sparkle never had a chance to be in that fight. This is what puts the Outlaws now in striking distance of evening things up on Busan.
Yeah, but they do use a ton there, Mitch. They use the Shatter, they use Gravitic Flux, and they end up using their Blizzard. You're going to come back as the Dallas Fuel. You're going to have the Sound Barrier, Self-Destruct, Earth Shatter, your own Blizzard. Now Sparkle on the Doomfist is really dangerous.
It's go time. The Fuel have to get to the point, but May's making it a little bit harder, slowing the pace down to a crawl. Sound barrier now for both sides. The Outlaws came a little later, so they have the extra durability. Shatter, Fearless. This isn't Sparta, my friend. I wish it were. Crimzo still goes down to the self-destruct, though, and that's huge for the Fuel. They find a pick. They just get one out of a haystack somehow. Junggu tries to keep the Outlaws in this fight, but now the Doomfist makes things even harder, and the Dallas Fuel are positioned to take this first map away. Juby was warded off from the point and may not have a chance to get there. He's not! He can't touch! And the Dallas Fuel start strong here. You never know what to expect from them. And this time, they start the series on the right foot.
Such a dangerous team. So many different things they can throw at you that nobody else does. Sparkle there on the Doomfist at the end comes through with a few picks, but this is a scary series for the Outlaws. Both of these teams really evenly matched. Houston, you know what they want to play. They're great at it, you know, in terms of the rush with the May compositions. They have some Hangzhou in from Happy. But man, the Dallas Fuel throws so many different things at you each map.
Dallas are here to turn the tables on their heads and upset the seedings. And the Outlaws are just trying to keep themselves on solid ground right now. Stick around, ladies and gentlemen. The second map in this battle for Texas is coming right up. These are not the games that you miss, not for a second.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest and fastest 5G network. Set your sights on the competition with T-Mobile. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official refreshment of the Overwatch League, and by IBM, the official cloud and AI partner of the Overwatch League.
That's right, the May Melee tournament is almost here. Make sure to get your tournament picks in for a chance to win $500 dues and a May statue. Go to pick'em.overwatchleague.com to play. Trust me, much more fun than boogers. Trust me. Welcome back, everybody. And it is a great start for the Dallas Fuel here, Matt. They really didn't waste any time making statements in that first map. Power rankings with IBM Watson tells quite the story here. This is everybody. This is overall, all roles, and, well, the Outlaws really crammed into that top 6.
I mean, you see a lot of the Outlaws in the Philadelphia Fusion. Both teams go undefeated in the May Melee Qualifiers. Philadelphia ends up dropping to Shanghai, but no, the Outlaws, it was the one team that you felt really the strongest about going into this knockout rounds, where you thought that they could kind of cruise on through. We do have a sub here for the Houston Outlaws. I'm sure everybody can figure out who it is, but it's a Jake coming in for Juby as we move over to Volskaya. So potentially this is to play the break on Volskaya. I have an incredible stat for you.
Okay, hit me.
McCree is the number 2 picked DPS in the entire league right now at 43%, only 2% behind Tracer. The Dallas Fuel have picked McCree 0% of the time. They have essentially just completely thrown the meta out the door. Not playing McCree. We don't want to mess with it. We don't have the player to do it. But they've been able to keep it going, which is imagine that in like any other year, right? Where we're talking about you don't play the number 2
like that.
DPS
yeah, it happened.
like that.
It happened. Chengdu did it in the inaugural season playing Wrecking Ball. I think like no one else played Wrecking Ball, man, in that season.
It's true.
And it didn't always work, did it?
Yeah, I mean, it would be like, not playing, whether it's like a Widowmaker or like Ashe in like one of those metas or something. Just so wild. I think it just speaks to the creativity and the versatility of this Dallas Fuel team being able to do that, especially because the rest of the league knows this coming in, right? It's not like they're hiding it and they're like, oh, maybe we'll pull it out one time. Like they know they're not going to do it. And even when teams go like Vara, Echo, it doesn't matter. They're still able to play what they want to play and get through. Houston Outlaws on defense. They'll have Jake on the Brig. They'll play Brigana, and they'll play a McCree here. So they won't play the Ashe with the Zen and that type of composition. The Dallas Fuel, they could easily play this. We've seen Sparkle on the Reaper before.
The Battle for Texas used to be a fun novelty thing, just to see who was better in Texas, but now it takes on a completely different flavor. Now it's a test to see who the best teams in the West are. Quite the improvement, I might say. Here's a Wrecking Ball from Junggu. Oh my, the Biotic Grenade connection is very nice. Annoying for Fielder here, that's kind of what he does. Just poops out our healing. And there will be a reposition here. So no high ground for the Dallas Fuel. Instead, they go straight to the point. Dante like, okay, wow, you're all here. Can I get away?
Chase him down.
Oh, he was not ready for that at all. Sparker just walks in on the Reaper. It's like, yo, how'd you like shotgun? So I put a shotgun in your nose.
And they ran this morning against the Shock. We saw them play the Reaper and push on up in the exact same fashion, and it was quite effective there. This time the Outlaws with Happy on the McCree. Not able to get the best. It's going to be a dive trying to go towards the high ground as Junggu will come in and get a touch.
Yeah, nice little stall there from Junggu. I think it was really only Fielder on the point at the time, and Picky helps him get rid of him. So now the Fielder in trouble. No healing and a Biotic Grenade. Yes, that's the problem with their comp. The fight needs to happen quickly. Otherwise, Fielder runs out of juice or gets isolated after using Fade, and the Outlaws have that sustained healing over time to provide.
Yeah, and they have to find a pick early, the Dallas Fuel. And they saw Dante had already used Recall. They knew he didn't have many blinks. They ran him down that last fight. But you see, as soon as they start to kite up on the high ground and you're able to get Happy to put in some damage over time, you're able to come out on top. And The Outlaws must have felt very confident that they would be able to play this type of composition and win against Dallas Fuel, because what they saw from Dallas earlier. Because when these two teams played Volskaya in the past, it was actually the Dallas Fuel who ended up winning.
Doha down to the dead eye of Happy there. Jake's been removed though. Yeah, that's America's ass. Hanbin though. They're going to punish Crimzo, and the Fuel are in a great position now. So they really commit. Instead of going half in, half out, trying to leave a player on the point, they go straight for the throat here. Sparkle goes down to Happy, but this is what Dallas wanted now. A proper fight with a clean win. The minefield's annoying, but they can deal with it.
Yeah, but they'll take the point. So finally able to do so. Pretty good defense on that second go around there for the Houston Outlaws. Hanbin walking into some mines, letting Jexig build up that sound barrier. Just look at this. I mean, you're going to have 5 ultimates here for the Dallas Fuel coming on into this second point.
Right, but how do you get this
Death
pick,
Blossom,
though?
sound barrier. You're going to have a big grab that comes in here from Piggy.
I mean, you can't just like trot everyone up. India fire a little high ground. Single fire rather. Okay, well, 3 players caught by that one. Happy blow it up. Oh no, it's the disco dance on the point for Sparkle. 2 big kills. Jangu and Happy go down. Rotate to the high ground, and Dallas, they get to force the fight. This composition is so good at forcing the defenders to stand and deliver. Fearless gets caught inside the Graviton Surge now, but the Outlaws still trying to filter in through quite the choke. Self-destruct on the point here. This could be dangerous, and it is. Jake is felled by the bomb. Piggy tries to step forward now. He's pretty charged up, and there's nothing Hanbin can do about the damage, but the damage comes back the other way too. Sparkle is still active in the fight, and he's a good factor in a long fight until Dante sticks the pulse to him. 2 ticks and counting, but looks like the Outlaws might be slowly, groggily getting to their feet.
Yeah, the Outlaws should have enough here. As Hanbin demeched, he'll end up having to back out, ends up dropping as he's doing so, but that did look scary there for the Houston Outlaws. So Piggy actually gets hit with the EMP when he has that grab, and Sparkle uses the Death Blossom to pick up some kills. As, he goes over to the Diva, and you see just the constant shooting, looking for Doha. He's been on these flanks, which is so annoying, being able to go out to the high ground. Dante will now play the Sombra as well, so Dante, a very good Sombra in his own right.
God, gave some of the most incredible Sombra performances we've ever seen in the league, especially on maps like Route 66 with his high ground control. Well, the Outlaws have it here as well. Nano boost, where does this go? Jungle hacked there for a time, so the Biotic Grenade thrown in there just to keep things healthy. The Outlaws now are starting to kind of figure out where the Fuel are trying to go for these initial forays.
That's a really nicely timed translocation by Doha as Junggu was trying to knock him into the mines. But what you're doing now is you're building up Sound Barrier, which you've already got. Now you're building up another EMP. This is the game for the Dallas Fuel.
Sound Barrier here for the Fuel, but Fearless doesn't really get to grips with his intended target. Doha's on the point, no EMP when you're hacked. His lights get turned out. Oh my, okay. So Doha is felled there. They're able to deal with him while he's hacked. He can't get away. He's forced to just sort of stand there. And Happy now helps them dispatch the rest of the Dallas Fuel players. There's 2 minutes left here for Dallas.
Changing position.
So, it's a big play early on from the Dallas Fuel. They get up to the high ground with Fearless and Sparkle with a Sound Barrier, try and push the supports back. Crimzo nanos Piggy during that, and then Piggy, when he's trying to go to the point, gets manually hacked by Doha, so he's unable to fly to the point. And then just a little bit too weak for the Dallas Fuel once the EMP comes in to start closing some players out. Coalescence to kick things off. They're going to try and burn down Happy.
Yeah, he's in danger. He can't really dump altitude easily as Echo, even if he has good airborne control, but he does get away. He's not taken down. Jungu gets hacked there, but is still kept alive. Piggy now needs to self-destruct to buy some space, and look, it forces Dallas right out to the extremities, but Jungu is eventually taken down. Sparkle slinking, sneaky beaky like, up on the point now. He needs to get rid of that Diva mech before he goes for a Death Blossom, so he has to wait. That wait though, that's what hurts the Fuel. They want to win the fight. They want to go for the jugular as soon as they can, and they've been staved off once more. Jake's shield is taken down. He tries for the whip shot bash. Doesn't get it. But Sparkle needs more help than just this. He needs to do more. The fight took too long.
Yeah, it's the Houston Outlaws playing really good defense. Crimzo and Jake especially being able to stay alive. No panic comes in. The Brigitte of Jake being able to protect Crimzo, allow them to keep contesting the point. So Jake's been huge on this map, coming in and playing the Brig. And Jake also, brings in a lot of, big game experience, right? You remember back in Season 1, The last time the Outlaws were pretty good. No, he played in a ton of those games, and in the Blizzard arena around fans has a lot of great perspective about playing in situations like this.
Absolutely. And this is a high pressure game, but not having to deal with the fans definitely relieves some pressure. That means that Jake's in his element right now. He's at the helm, and he leads the Outlaws here, but he's fallen early. Not the way you want to start the fight. A decent EMP there from Dante, but the follow-up just was not available. Now one comes from the fuel. It also catches 3. Happy duplicates. Can't get back in the mech in this duplicated diva form until just now. Jungkook falls, Piggy's going to be desuited, and now Happy comes out of duplicate. So there's no divas whatsoever left on the point, which means no durability. The fuel get the job done there. But man, they really have to dig deep to get a quick fight like they were looking for. I mean, Matt, the Outlaws make it really, really hard to let it be just done and dusted.
And it was the Outlaws on defense who did a great job of withstanding some of those big pushes you knew were coming. They played great around, I know the EMPs they knew were coming in from Doha. They didn't panic when the Primal Rages were coming through and kind of burned through support ults, stacking them on top of each other. Always had a body on the point to contest. Really good defense there from the Houston Outlaws. And if you're the Dallas Fuel, you can't be that upset. You've completed the map. You've given yourself an opportunity to win.
In fairness, though, Houston's composition, the one that features sort of a counter dive, probably looks a little better now when they can attack, when they can sort of set the pace a little more. They just kind of had to deal with what Dallas was trying to do to them earlier, right? Dallas just go in, try and find something with the Reaper, the Moira, just run straight into the back line. Dallas obviously aren't going to go for that playstyle now because they probably want the fights to go longer. They actually sort of want to sustain on the point. They don't want to have to be the ones to go aggressive as defenders. So this looks a little bit less like their wheelhouse, perhaps, but still a really solid comp. Yeah, it's Tracer and it's Echo, but that doesn't really put them at a distinct disadvantage not having a McCree. You just have to play out of those side lanes. You have to be a little bit more careful, perhaps, but that's it, man.
And I think just having the McCree for the Outlaws, obviously McCree, like I mentioned, they're the second most picked DPS at the moment.
Pretty good.
But he's a great dive target for somebody like Fearless, who wants to get aggressive. McCree has no mobility, obviously surrounded by a Brigitte and whatnot, but still very easy to dive on McCree as Doha gets very low and needs to have the rest of his teammates help him out. It's a biotic grenade that actually Fielder lands on some players in the choke, which actually forces the Outlaws back a bit.
Jackson traded for Dante here. Sparkle getting rid of that one, which means he can maybe get a little bit more feisty when the fight actually begins, but there's still a Brigitte, still a McCree for Sparkle. Sparkle has to play perfectly here, Matt. Just occurred to me how much is really on his plate to try and have some impact as Tracer here. And Happy doesn't really let anyone peek out. He's playing whack-a-mole right now with the Dallas defenders, and it's looking good. Fearless goes in, Nano Boost, Zarya Bubble. All the resources piled into Fearless, and he comes back with nothing so far. Nothing!
Oh, and he tries to go deep again, and he gets stuffed. I thought potentially they were going to wait a little bit before they tried to re-engage, because a Nano comes in on a Chengdu, and then also when Fearless goes in with that Nano Boost, they have a big biotic grenade. He's getting stunned, Fearless. He's pretty low. He could have just kind of went back to the point and played for a counter dive opportunity, but went in deep yet again. Wasn't able to find anything as the Outlaws, they stormed through the first point.
Happy looks pretty darn good on the McCree right now. He knows he's in a situation where he can be dived, but you still see him setting the pace, right? Just trying to, you know, take that inch, give it and turn it into a mile if he can. Sparkle? I mean, look at him, he just has a blink constantly. Hey, look, what do you do about this? It's so hard for him. He's able to get a trade kill, which is probably a net positive for him, especially if you're defending and have a quicker respawn duration.
Yeah, the Outlaws got a little bit over-aggressive there. They got Doha extremely low, Jungkook and Dante, and they pushed on forward, and Jungkook just walked into a Brig stun, and then they had just taken out really quickly, where I thought they, you know, potentially if you finish off Doha, you're able to get to the point, you have some ultimates, win it there. They were not able to finish him now.
How do you feel about Primates, Matt? There might be a fair few in this next fight. Grab from both sides. Oh my! That's filthy Fielder douses the Outlaws in the purple juice, and they get eaten away at. Put it that way.
Yeah, grabs from both sides. That was a rally from Jake that came through. But like you mentioned, a huge bio grenade that comes in from Fielder. playing all the way in the back, is you've held on to your nano here for Dallas, you've held on to your rally that's coming up, and you have Doha with a duplicate. So can, copy Junggu, help stall the point out.
It's nice to know that even pro players try and lean in the direction they're trying to make their character go. I always thought it was kind of a boomer trait, really, but both DPS on the Dallas Fuel here look very much physically involved in the game. Jake down early, so Fearless goes in, and yep, 2 monkeys! Oh, this is scary stuff. Doha wants to get a little bit more value. A Primal, that's not okay. That is seriously not okay! The Revenge of Harambe? No! Planet of the Apes Part 2. Episode 2, Section 3.5. Doha might not be able to get away, though. He's in trouble.
Oh, okay.
The Great Escape.
Able to get out with his life. So, man, that was tough. Jake gets insta-killed pretty much with Fearless getting the nano boost. He already had some damage. Just landing on top of him. Then some extra damage takes him out. That was the duplicate, the nano used there for the Dallas Fuel. Sparkle doesn't need to win these 1v1s against Dante, just needs to keep him honest, not allow him to just run rampant in the backline.
Yeah, almost counter tracer action. Fielder, oh, okay, Fielder jumped inside an enemy bubble, but I think he got the nade away in time. Nice sleep from Crimzo there, but it's going to take more than pocket sand to deal with the Fuel.
The Dallas Fuel, when they were on offense, they were able to consistently get to the back on the bridge and put pressure onto Jake, onto Crimzo. We have not seen them get anywhere close to being able to do that with Fielder, and Dante goes to the point to try and contest, drag them out. Fielder just sits on the high ground, puts 2 shots into him, forces recall, he has to back all the way up. Not been able to make Fielder panic at all back there.
The Outlaws still managed to save a bunch of ultimates from that previous fight, though, so there's still the issue of the Primal Rage and the displacement caused as a result.
I need healing.
Where are you looking, Dante? You don't need healing. Enough of that. Hanbin very low. Oh my god, very low early here. Nano boost to Fearless though, so it's still not forced out onto a less than ideal target. Crimzo,
how long can you hold these ultimates and lose a player at the beginning of the fight? That time it was a nano boost again onto Fearless, goes in, gets the first kill onto a support. Last time it was Jake, this time onto Crimzo. As you hold on to these ultimates, Mitch, you get to a point now where you look at the clock and you are pretty much put yourself in a one-fight territory, in the sense that if you blow these ultimates, don't get it, you're not going to get them back. And the Dallas Fuel have to know that. They have a grab to counter the grab that comes in from Hanbin. You have a duplicate as well to be able to survive a while. Dallas Fuel in a pretty good spot here.
No guarantee that the Outlaws can take point B, even with all these ultimates they have. Junggu tries to go to the high ground first, wants to pressure Fielder down. He's been such an issue. Hanbin falls into the trade of Zarya so far. Fielder is still alive. Finally he goes down. Junggu pretty much uses his whole primal to get rid of Diana, but he gets what he came for. Jex's shield eventually crumbles, but Fearless is still causing problems. He gets to return to the point. And remember, the Dallas Fuel reinforcements are far more proximate in this case. The Outlaws, as push falls, they don't peel for their backline.
No. Fearless does not even care that they're on the point. Him and Doha had actually copied Piggy. He actually grabs Happy all the way out there in the back. As the Outlaws are so worried about taking the point, they think they've won, being able to use some of these ultimates and get in. And the Dallas Fuel didn't care. They give up a tick, give up 2 ticks, doesn't matter.
God. Why are the comms like in that moment? They're split in 2, and Dante and Go say...
A nano for Fearless. You've gotten a kill out of a nano onto Fearless every time onto one of these supports. Look for them to try and do it again.
Junggu gets a nano himself though. Once more, once Fielder. The shield dance! He comes out best in class! It takes 2 to tango, but I tell you what, Fielder had the fancier footwork, and now Junggu sat in the corner looking a bit glum. Fearless goes down though, and Doha's also fallen to Happy, so it is a four-player situation here for the Fuel, but Rally's there for Jexa. Gonna keep him alive just a little bit longer now. Dante looking to try and get some damage on Hanbin. The paintwork's chipped, but he's still alive. Jexa, Fielder, the healer's still coming from the back line of the Fuel, and now the reinforcements are in position. Dante looking for Fielder. Can he get him? Deadeye from Happy does not connect though, and the pulse bomb dropped at his feet. He dodges away. Doha doused with the biotic grenade. Winston jumps in. Fearless was too low, and finally it seems like the Outlaws are going to be able to come up with it, but they had to work for it. Oh boy, we get a minute extension and we go again.
That goes down to the wire for the Outlaws. So, man, the Outlaws fans, they have They've had a long road to get to this moment, but this series probably feels like it's been an eternity already. We're not even done with map number 2. So they're able to pull the fight out at the end. As Sparkle was very deep, trying to make a play for either Crimzo or Jake for a while, and wasn't able to get either of them weak, wasn't able to finish off one of those players. And you know, they're just everybody healthy on the point for the Outlaws. So see the Dallas Fuel on offense, and so this would be interesting to come out with the Sombra comp. This is where you can you know, get a hack, get a pick. You could bubble Doha and let him get a hack on a Junggu if the bubble's already used from Piggy. A lot of different things you could do here. What's nice about this Sombra comp is it kind of gives you a better opportunity to finish the map, in the sense that you can build pulse bomb pretty quickly, pretty effective obviously. You can get the EMP rather quickly as well. And if you take point A, you think you have a pretty good chance for having the EMP for the point B. So we'll see if they're able to get that.
I'm astral projecting so hard, I'm going to start believing that stones have magical powers and blame all my failures on Mercury being in retrograde. This is a serious game of Overwatch. The Dallas Fuel now, like you mentioned, Matt, Doha definitely the focus here. How much value can he get early? Crimzo's hit with a party grenade, and Jake slept with the backline of the field. Field is just popping off right now, but he needs to keep Hanbin alive. The tank's looking a little bit worse for wear right now, and the Houston Outlaws are sort of bending but not breaking until now. Jake and Crimzo are down, the healing's gone, and the Fuel are coming for what's theirs, Matt!
I was going to say, that's a tough situation where I saw Crimzo on the stairs. Fearless was like, I am going for blood. I can smell it. So he pushes on forward. But like you mentioned, big biotic grenades from Fielder, being able to put players to sleep. They get a hack on a Jake really early during that, and then the biotic grenade, it just catches on to Crimzo. But with Jake hack, no armor packs, has to be really careful. Ends up using a nade on himself a little bit later to keep himself alive, you know, going up the stairs. Nothing there, and like I mentioned, you're not close to the EMP, but look at this, Fielder's already got the Nano. You're gonna have Nano in rally here. Nano on the field has been so effective. There it is.
Fearless goes straight on in, and I mean, Crimzo had to buy a not grenade himself. Unbelievable! Fielder isolated from his previous team, the Paris Eternal, had to enjoy their success from afar. Now surrounded by brothers, and they're getting dubs. Fearless over the top here. Jake falls to the Primal Rage. There's more work to be done for the Dallas Fuel, but they're up to the task. Fearless is all over the kill feed. Piggy's all over the floor. And Dallas Fuel looking to make this cap happen now. Dante's going to slink in from the outskirts and try and stop this from happening. Finally, Crimzo gets involved in the Sleep Olympics. Over the top goes Fearless, though, and there's a Graviton Surge brewing. It's cooking up. It gets aimed straight at Jake, and he's stuck in the middle of it here. Yes, he had the rally for a time, so he's able to stay alive. Nice biotic grenade again coming out from Crimzo on towards Hanbin, and the Outlaws, they get the numbers back where they're needed. The reinforcements have arrived, and they're looking a lot more solid now. Junggu gets hit with a shield bash, wants to try and pressure down Hanbin if he can, but Fearless and Jex are already had fallen, and the Outlaws, they hold back the Fuel. Ooh. But only just, Matt, only just.
It's a Nano rally, so they Nano Jake, because really he's the only option at that point. But between the rally and then the survivability of the Nano boost, he's able to stay alive for so long that the rest of the Outlaws come back. All the ultimates have been expelled by the Dallas Fuel at that time. They're not able to get that second cap, but Mitch, it's just as good as getting a second cap, pretty much. 92%. Essentially, the Outlaws have to win both points on the map regardless, right? The only difference would have been, right, if you know, Houston ran it back here, you would have had you know, even more. But still, really good for the Dallas Fuel. They should not feel bad about that. They did their job. They got that first point. Even better, 92% on the second one.
Fielder is unbelievable at Ana.
Crazy.
The things he was doing last year on like 200 ping, you know, for that Paris team were already just, I mean, unspeakable at times. He is forcing Crimzo to use those potentially powerful offensive Ana resources on himself. Sleep darting Jake, who by the way has a gigantic freaking shield. You know, managing to catch him with it not available is just big. I mean, the guy is going way above and beyond just clicking your teammates and healing him up. This Fielder is taking over the game here. He's a superstar, and the Houston Outlaws need to find an answer.
Look, Dallas wants this final spot. All the talk has been they don't have a hit scan player, they don't have this, they don't have that. You know, maybe they're not as good after seeing some of these other teams. They've had to hear all that talk, and now they're in a position, you know, potentially to go up 2-0 here against the number 1 seed. Dante finds himself in an interesting spot. Destroys Doha's translocator, and that's huge because Doha gets taken out now.
No escape for him there. Dante knew the sleep dart was going to come. He recalls at just the right time, but still needs to be careful because Hanbin's charged up. Also pretty low in health. Inversely proportional, I suppose, in many cases. Dante wants to try and pressure down Jexa and Fielder, but Fielder is just pumping out so much freaking healing right now. There's not much the Outlaws can do to break this. So the Dallas Fuel say, okay, you take 2 ticks, we regroup, Doha returns to the fight, and we go once more. Where does his pulse bomb go? Fielder, his wits about him. He leaps. Oh my! Dante again caught sleeping on the job. Jungkook, great peel though, recovers, sees Dante slept, jumps in with the nano boost here. Doha's already gone down once more. Happy's able to find the headshot, and there's a Primal Rage waiting for Jungkook. He waits till the Biotic Grenade is expired, so he actually gets a health increase, but he's run out of teammates. Maybe he left it too long. Here's the Primal anyway. Jackson wants to try and shut him down, and Hanbin gets a gigantic grab, and it's just a very, very angry monkey man on the point. Excuse me, scientist on the point. But what can you do against such wrath? The Dallas Fuel make it 2 in a row in this series, and the Outlaws now are quaking.
Fielder playing out of his mind. So they end up getting the nano on the Hanbin, keeping Hanbin alive. As soon as he gets the nano, they have a rally there from Jexe. They don't even worry. A lot of what they've been doing is just ignoring Chengdu and taking advantage, just pushing on forward. They're able to deal right here, you see, with Crimzo and Happy. Oh, just a huge play there, able to farm up that nano, play for the final fight.
And randomly, obviously, Hanbin gets a nano boost in that last fight right there. Zaya, he's fully charged, so already doing an appreciable amount of damage. But he's in such a good position to turn that damage, to turn that resources from Fielder straight into kills. I mean, he gets 3 kills in that fight, and the Fuel run away with it. This is the team now that is just, they're locked in. They have instinct, and their blood is absolutely flowing. For the Outlaws, where do they go from here? I mean, their best looks, ostensibly, have kind of been already dealt with now. I mean, the fact that you get blown out so badly on Volskaya in an extra innings, 1 minute, the Fuel almost get 2 whole checkpoints. Where do you go from here?
I mean, who knows? And this is a map that the Outlaws picked in this series because they probably felt like they had some type of advantage here, but they end up losing it to Dallas Fuel in their early matchup earlier in the season. Off pick.
Map 3, do or die for the Outlaws. Stick around, it could be curtains here for the boys in green.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest and fastest 5G network. Set your sights on the competition with T-Mobile. And by Xfinity, the preferred internet provider of the Overwatch League.
Spitfire have done it! A golden state! A golden crown! Overwatch League champion!
It is the moment that you have been waiting for. Houston Outlaws going up against the Dallas Fuel, the Battle of Texas.
We had a sold-out crowd both days, and that environment, all I can say is that it was just pure energy.
There were 3 showdowns in the inaugural season, and Houston won all of them. It was one of the rivalries that the Overwatch League pushed that actually worked because fans bought into it. It did get that's the homestand.
Dallas-Houston is one of those things that just was hype from the get-go.
It was the culmination in a lot of ways of years of build-up between our two teams.
This is the battle for the Owl Corral right here, and we'll see who flies their flag over Texas tonight.
When you saw the Outlaws fans and the Dallas Fuel fans in person filling up an entire arena and cheering the way they did and the energy that they had, we were able to identify how big this rivalry could really be.
They were there to see us, and we were there to put on a show.
Dallas Fuel, they take it home!
The moment when we did beat the Houston Outlaws and the fans were chanting OG's name, OG just started shedding tears of joy.
시즌을 치르고 있는 동안에 팀원들한테 엄청 조금 더 나은 팀메이트가 될 수 있었는데 이제 그걸 뭐 좀 못했는데도 이제 제가 다운돼 있을 때 격려해주고 해서 그때 이제 잘 이겨내고 해서 경기를 이겨가지고 좀 감정이 좀 그렇게 약간 울컥한 것도 있고 그런 엄청 많은 사람들이 제가 경기를 하는 걸 응원해주고 이제 이름도 불러주고 그런 경험 자체를 한다는 거를 생각지도 못했고 이제 그런 경험을 제가 했다는 거에 대해서 엄청 고맙고 해서 이제 좀 울컥해진 것 같아요.
The battle for Texas. They win it for the first time.
The Fuel able to take it here in front of the home crowd.
Well, it's been an arguably short stint, but the Houston Outlaws have ruled this town for the last couple of weeks, and maybe Dallas Fuel fans didn't think they'd get another opportunity to right that wrong so soon. But here we are, and the Battle of Texas falls on an incredibly important match. Matthew, I mean, if Dallas win this game, they'll be going up against Chengdu Hunters in the first round of the May Melee.
Yeah, it's, Houston has a huge hill to climb if they're going to come back in this series. The reverse sweep. If you win Blizzard World, which is our next map, the Dallas Fuel would then get to start picking the map. So you got to win 3 straight, basically, on their maps, as Juby will come in for Jake. But how crazy would that match be? Chengdu against Dallas Fuel. Who knows what the hell gets played in that game? But I don't think Dallas can be looking that far forward, though. The Houston Outlaws, they're the #2 seed for a reason. They were fantastic during the qualifiers. They got a big win over this Dallas Fuel team, but like we've all thought, this is a different Dallas Fuel team, a big win over the Shock. But, a lot of these teams throughout the qualifiers have improved. They've figured out their own kind of strategies and grooves. Yeah, we'll see what happens here on Blizzard World as maybe some more of these Wrecking Ball compositions come in.
It's definitely a possibility. Either way you slice it, Matthew, there's plenty of reason to play dive-based compositions. And I mean, you're dealing with Fearless here. Like, Jungkook has looked incredible across this entire series, right? He made the highlight moment at the end of the Shock match. That's on Reinhardt, but he looks really good on Winston, right? He's really being enabled. Crimzo has a tough matchup, man. It's not just that. It's not he's trying to shoot, Fielder across the map. He's trying to match Fielder's impact fight by fight. And it looks like, the longer a round goes, like the more Fielder just gets locked in, and some of these mistakes creep in, and Crimzo's getting pressured so hard by Fearless. Like, how's he supposed to live up to the example that Fielder's setting when Fearless is all up in his grill 24/7?
You look at the schedules of these teams, right? The Outlaws, they get a 3-2 win over the Fuel, they get a 3-2 win over the Shock, and then they play Paris and London. The Dallas Fuel, to get to this point, they had to play the Outlaws, obviously, in match number 1. Then they had to play the Gladiators, the Justice, and then the Boston Uprising, and then now just beat the Shock to get to this point. I mean, that is a loaded schedule. You look at Boston, you're like, oh yeah, sure, Boston, but everybody thought Boston would be quite good coming in. They did play teams tough, where in Dallas, they've had a brutal schedule thus far. As do not expect Sparkle to stay on the Widowmaker. That would be a wild turn of events. He'll go, and they're going to play the Symmetra. So The Outlaws on defense don't opt for the ball compositions. We've seen a lot of teams play ball with the Brig and the Zen here. They don't opt to do so. They'll end up playing the Rush with the McCree up on the high ground.
Yeah, this makes trading in the neutral a little bit more scary for the Outlaws because Sim just ramps up over the course of the fight. The Maywall doesn't split anyone off. Neither one really does. Sparkle uses it as sort of artificial cover to make sure he gets damaged safely, and it works like an absolute charm. The front line for the Outlaws crumbles, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is what we call getting worked in the neutral.
If you cannot get rid of the Sim near the beginning of the fight, and you just trade there in the neutral with the shields and whatnot, you're going to lose time. She's eventually going to get all types of charged up, going to be able to just burn down the shields. As soon as the shields are gone, it's a wrap. Starts mowing players down. And also, the really nice use of the teleporter. They don't want to deal with this McCree up on the high ground. You don't have one of your own to kind of like, put pot shots in. Well, guess what? Make it a fight on the point.
Teleporter there for the fuel.
Yeah, the teleporter is on the payload, so it's a little bit of a moving TP here.
All right, well, Dante gets picked off here by Doha. Icicles, by the way. Yep. Eventually, Dante has to touch the ground or come close, and it's over for him very quickly. The Outlaws, they look boomed, Matthew.
It was that was an amp matrix with a May wall in position. Hat is behind the Dallas Fuel here. He's up on the high ground, the opposite side. He's coming behind them. But he's so far away, he may not even make an impact in this fight.
The Blizzard, I mean, how's he supposed to help his team now? In fact, most of the fuel are out of Happy's line of sight.
Yeah, this is...
Oh, he just got LOS there, but there's a Symmetra wall in the way. Happy, completely irrelevant in this fight.
Yeah, and now Fearless could land a huge shatter here if they even need it, as that's going to be a pick on the Juby.
He's 9!
This is falling apart and fast as the Dallas Fuel sprinting through Blizzard World. Another one of the Outlaws picks.
I mean, this is tough stuff, right? The Outlaws lose a tough map. They sub out who would arguably be their most charismatic and powerful leadership figure in Jake, right? Because obviously they bring Juby in, they need the Lucio. He's been cracked on that role. But how do they come back now? Mentally, they're at as much of a deficit as they are mechanically here. Gameplay-wise, self-destruct. Oh, Biggie was forced to use a barrier. That would have been 3 dead Outlaws in a small little hole.
But they split Junggu off. Because of the May wall and the self-destruct, he has to push in towards the Mega Health Pack, and Doha just follows it up. Freezes him, and they take him out. This has been so one-sided. Through the TP now, maybe a big shatter here. Oh, beautiful May wall there from Doha.
Matt, apparently a close encounter with the geological specimen is not enough to dissuade Fearless from just charging forward.
The way they are playing with the Symmetra teleporter is next level. You usually see teams like the most we see that Symmetra TP use is just putting it out of the spawn and that's about it.
Yeah.
But just like to use the TP to get behind them, even the TP that sits up behind them, then it's a threat. They have to back up, right? You don't know where players are coming from. A lot of good uses for the Sim TP.
Dante's in the mix here as the Ryan. Amp Matrix is still scary for the Outlaws, so they must approach with care. That shield's gone! He tries to go for the Shatter, but he gets knocked out of Duplicate before the Hammer can touch down.
They wall up Junggu.
Neither Shatter finds anything. 2 of the biggest minds of the Outlaws cannot find a stun from the Earth Shatter ability. And now the Fuel push forward here. The Outlaws are utterly extinguished, but Dallas, burn 'em blue, baby.
3:59 on the clock. That ties the second all-time fastest run on Blizzard World. Hanbin with a casual smile in the chat. That is, that is not a smile the Outlaws want to see. As that is a rough go on defense. They try and come through with the Reinhardt base comms, and in that neutral, they just get worked down by that Symmetra time after time. They get so split up in this second area of the map from A to B. Happy never gets back to the team. They can never take advantage of the McCree. Everything seemed to just be falling apart there.
The Dallas Fuel are not just an Overwatch team. They are the Avalanche on Chad Mountain after that last round. Imagine the audacity, taking a Symmetra through not just the first point, which you can almost, accept, but through the second phase and the third, all the way to the bank. Dallas brought the sim, and were constantly just blinking in and out of existence as far as the Outlaws were concerned. You cannot predict this kind of play. This is... I can't believe I'm saying this. 5 years into this job, we are seeing some novel use of Symmetra and this teleporter. We just haven't seen anyone else do it.
No, nobody else has utilized it in the way that the Dallas Fuel are. And I go back to Rush said in that interview, is that they believe they can create the meta, they can do different things that other teams cannot do. And they are showing that with how they've played throughout this stage. Everybody wondering when they're going to get a hit scan player. They don't care. They'll get one when they feel the need to have one.
Just wait till McCree gets banned in hero pools.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be incredible. Right, so Happy doesn't. He goes with the Doomfist now.
Wall again.
Perfect, right? Can't ask for much more from Doha. He sees Happy come through. Happy uses all of his cooldowns, and Doha uses an ice block. He keeps him alive for a little while, but eventually Happy's able to find a good rocket punch connection. Happy's doing work here. He's very mad. He's a mad boy.
And the Doomfist pick comes in because of the Symmetra pick. Doomfist actually really good against Symmetra. She can get taken out very easily, burst down. Doomfist obviously very good at that, as Sparkle coming back on the Doomfist of his own. And I wonder if this is a matchup you want to see. Sparkle on the Doomfist is quite good. So now you get him on one of his signature heroes. But good first point take here for Houston. They're going to have a Blizzard built up already, so looking really good for the next fight as well.
So this is going to be one of those rare occasions where there's not a ton of like ways of dealing with the Doomfist on either roster, except maybe freezing them with May. And May, it doesn't look great against Doom because he knocks her out of her optimal range with that rocket punch, as you just saw there. Maybe accretion's concerning, but still, Doomfist can thrive with these setups right now. Hanbin goes down. Okay, Happy gets removed by Sparkle here, but it's a little too late. The Fuel don't really have the numbers. They used a lot. They used that amplification matrix there. And the Outlaws still hardly part with any key ultimates.
Yeah, I mean, they use the Amp Matrix and they get aggressive. The Dallas Fuel to force out Amp Matrix and Blizzard from the Houston Outlaws. As I thought for a second Crimzo may have been thinking about a switch, but comes back into this next fight as Hanbin will get close to a Gravitic Flux, and now this is where the Dallas Fuel, you sit up on the high ground, you build up this Gravitic Flux, you have a sound barrier. This is where you can potentially get a fight win.
Doom doesn't have to use Rising Uppercut, to sort of gain that height if they're sat up on the high ground already. So it's a handy perch, same reason Winston players also like it. The Outlaws want to deny that though, so they move through, Happy into the back line. Here comes the slam, filtered down already. Nice pick off there, and finally attention comes his way, so guess what? Yeah, instead I'm going to get out of here, and maybe it's time for Space Jam. Fearless had the shield up, self-destruct, finds two. That's a big one here in the Dallas Fuel. Maybe they're getting it a bit ahead of themselves now. But the Outlaws are really starting to find their flow, find their stride here. And they're looking like they'll have 2 checkpoints now.
Yes, I don't think if you're the Dallas Fuel, you come out here and contest this. Maybe they do. It looks like Sparkle gearing up the troops.
Only the Fuel.
Maywall comes through, Sparkle gets around it, but he realizes he would have died straight away. He may die anyway as he pushes up a little bit too far.
Happy looking really solid on the Doomfist right now. Sparkle looks like he's targeting him, but Happy's having impact. He's flanking, he's just sneaking around the backside and finding these insta kills. Batiste hates this. He gets knocked up outside of the range of his immortality field by Rising Uppercut. He hates dealing with Doomfist. It is the Amp Matrix man. What? A Gravitic Flux! That is absurd! Juby falls and the immortality field comes, but it's a sad looking lamp, Matthew. Ridiculous stuff from Hanbin.
And that's a game-winning play there. Because the Houston Outlaws are rolling. They have an ultimate advantage at that time. And now the Dallas Fuel, they can, a sigh of relief. Catch their breath here as they get a fight win.
Play the corner now. 2 shields to work with for the Outlaws. The Doomfist still a factor. Sparkle doesn't connect there. Trying not to do a nice impression, but Dante gets him anyway. Happy also falls here. So now the Doomfist having an impact, and the Blizzard is just huge. There's no follow-up from the rest of the Outlaws. They respect the Wintry chill. Oh, surely not. Oh, he's mad. I'd be mad too.
Oh, yeah. So they're going to have to back up. You can't really engage with the May here, but...
Well, I think Sparkle, or Doha rather, now respecting Juby's potential just a little more. Seismic Slam, Rising Uppercut, nothing. All right, goes fishing, comes back with very little, but Happy's traded out for Fielder. So Sparkle needs to do a little bit more here, Matt. No Batiste for the defenders currently, but Jexa has a sound barrier. That's a great way to cover up a lack of a healer. But the Ant Matrix, very scary stuff here, and the Fuel hold the ultimate.
Yeah, and it looks like that Hanbin actually got pooped up a little bit, potentially by Juby. Knocked into the rest of the Outlaws. The Outlaws trying to set a very good time of their own. Gravitic watch from Hanbin. Can he land a big one again?
Sparkle, it's a mutual charge there from both Doomfist as they go in. Here comes the Meteor Strike. Fearless is caught inside the Blizzard. Immortality Field keeps him alive. Jungkook, another big shatter. He always seems to come up with him at just the right time. And Fearless is removed! Piggy! He takes the Fuel to market instead. And Jungkook looking like an ice statue as he rides the cart in. It is a decent disparity between these time banks, but still the Outlaws are well and truly in the game.
All right, so Houston finishes the map. 2 minutes in their time bank. I will knock the Dallas Fuel down to 322. And I wonder now, as they've seen the Doomfist come for a whole map, what do you do here if you're the Dallas Fuel? I was thinking you potentially could play Sparkle on that Reaper. You know, you could bring out a Sombra comp potentially if you wanted to. The Sombra pretty effective against Doomfist. Same with the Reaper. Maybe you could play you know, Reaper Sombra. That type of play, but looks like, at least for the start, coming out on the Symmetra. As we can take a look at this Piggy self-destruct, this was massive.
It's the Shatter follow-up. Look how disjointed Dallas are right now. I mean, there's just, they're probably going to, those eliminations happen either way here, but I mean, that's really a way to finish the job. Matt, talk us through a little bit more about sort of, you know, where Dallas go from here. Looks like they got their defensive Symmetra play, which is interesting.
Yeah, they're going to go for the Sim again. Although it didn't work against the Doomfist got a lot of value for the Houston Outlaws. They must feel confident enough in this to bring it out. And the fact that the matter is, if you keep those fights neutral like we talked about, and you don't let Happy come in and get one of these big insta-kills, you know, displacements and whatnot, you think that the Sim wins out in the end. But a lot more times than not, the Doomfist was getting the better of it.
Teleporter set up defensively here. This is going to allow, crucially, I mean, any of the supports to just get away from the Doom and still have high ground control, theoretically.
And they're not being aggressive this time. The last time they put the wall there and they tried to push through.
So it's a more respectful approach from Dallas, but will it work better against a team like the Outlaws? That's the wall. Dante goes down early. Doha's like, okay, let's go, go, go. Pushes everyone forward. Jungkook frozen. Nice ice block time in there. He soaks up a ton of what would have been damage from the Outlaws. And you said it, Matt, long fight, and Sparkle shines bright.
Yep, you get that first pick, and they realize they have the advantage in terms of the shield in that close quarter situation. Also, now when you fight inside of those close quarter areas against the Doomfist, Doomfist is actually pretty effective against the Batiste because you can knock players out of the Immortality Field up out of it. When you fight in these close quarter areas, there's not really a spot where he can knock them out of the Immortality Field.
Well, more importantly, playing in doorways against Doomfist will prevent you from being knocked up at all. He actually, that's how you play against the Doom. I learned that from Jaws, believe it or not, because I was getting mad about Platinum Doomfists. This is another level, but still the same concept applies, Matt. Crimzo down
that's
early!
A really bad one.
Oh, now of course!
He's got an Ant Matrix too, Crimzo is, won't be using that. You're gonna lose Jungkook here. You're thankful for the Outlaws, you don't lose anybody else, but Ant Matrix come through here for the Outlaws. You're gonna have the Symmetra wall to block it off, so you don't even need to waste the May wall on it.
14 seconds left. That hefty time bank for the Outlaws has dwindled to all but seconds. Juby needs to build a sound barrier for this fight. Piggy goes, gonna set up an overtime scenario. Oh, the Blizzard! Everybody's caught! It's Dallas in the Winter Wonderland! The Outlaws said, can we borrow some heat? They say no. We're saving all of that to end the round. Piggy now is all going to be on his own here. With Happy going down, it gets even harder. Crimzo is way off in the periphery, trying to keep his Diva alive somehow, but that is just not going to happen. And that's a win condition set in stone now for the Dallas Fuel, and the Outlaws, they're on their final legs.
Yeah, and they're willing to give up some percentage. We saw them do that on Volskaya. Give up some percentage, go back to the point you feel confident enough in your offense. So 322 to get 44%. I think we'll see the Dallas Fuel come out and play Symmetra again. They were very good at, you know, bypassing the McCree and going on the high ground. What do you do here if you're the Outlaws? Do you match Sim? Again, Sim Do you try and play something like an Echo up in the sky? Take advantage of the McCree? Do you play the Doomfist on defense? Although the Doomfist on defense is asking for the fight on the point, which is not the fight that they want. So they're going to come out and play the McCree. This is the safest option for them, right? So this is safe. If you would have played the Doom and they teleport to the point, it's kind of lights out at that point. I mean, what do you do? There's not really a great opportunity for it. You'd have to play super aggro. They trade kills. It wouldn't work out in your favor. So they go with the McCree. This is a really safe option. I expect the fight to go pretty similarly.
The May Melee Finals beckon to the Dallas Fuel, and they are one round away from booking their tickets. It's a battle for Texas to get out of Texas and to hopefully bring glory back home. The Dallas Fuel, it will be Sparkle on the Symmetric here. No early TP, which means he's sticking with this.
Yeah, they're going to TP to the point, so they're going to use the cover of the statue to go to the right. Interesting enough, Happy playing on the point alone right now. Which would, he's playing pretty much where they, okay, so he's playing where the Dallas Fuel TP'd last time. And they have the May on the other side, so they're trying to block off the areas that they TP. It's going to be a TP up to the high ground. Juby's up there. Oh, he's in trouble. He gets out, though.
Was that defense matrix that stopped the boop? Something stopped him from booping them. I'm not sure what it was. But the Fuel were able to stay on the high ground. Juby wasn't able to send them down to what would have been their demise. And instead, the Outlaws now are looking at a long and hard couple weeks off for Dallas Fuel. It's Aloha, baby. They are looking like they're setting themselves up for a berth in Hawaii. It's sun and sand, baby.
Wow. The Dallas Fuel come in. They get a win against the San Francisco Shock earlier today in a dominant fashion, and then they take out the Outlaws here as the number 6 seed in the West, advancing to the May Melee. So that is a huge statement, just in terms of everything that's gone on with this team throughout the first part of the season. Exy, who's supposed to be a huge part of this team, would have probably started all these games playing the McCree, retires like the week before. You're in a position where you don't have any other DPS players. You have to come up with something creative. Like I mentioned, you have a brutal schedule, and they come out all the way through that today to qualify. They were almost in that 4-way tie yesterday. That could have been. They barely sneak in with the 6th seed, and they get a 3-0 against the Shock and a 3-0 against the Outlaws. What a tremendous performance today from the Dallas Fuel.
Calling this a glow-up would be an understatement. People wondered if this team would sort of be able to recapture the glory that they, caught as that element missing roster. Some said, I mean, primarily at least, some said maybe it just won't be the same. Maybe rose-tinted glasses are what we're looking through. At the previous look at this team, well, those doubters have definitely been silenced because the winning formula is reinstated. And what's crazy about today and the Dallas Fuel in general is both our lowest seeds are going to be heading to Hawaii now. And, it speaks volumes, I think, to just the state of the game right now and the state of this Western region, just how unexpected these teams are to even get to this point, to fight their way through. People were bloody, still retweeting the Dallas Fuel Circle of Misery, like not more than 2 weeks ago, if that. I mean, you couldn't look at a more different picture now. I mean, Jackson was just elated. You can see the look on his face. And Hanbin, maybe you didn't see it play the game, but he gets that gigantic sort of 4-player gravitic flux, and you sort of said this could be the game here, and Matt, it buys the deficit for the Fuel to then hold on defense.
And look at the teams that end up making it to the May Melee Finals. The Dallas Fuel, the Florida Mayhem, Chengdu Hunters, Shanghai Dragons. These are all teams like 2 years ago, which were down near the bottom a lot, right? And over the last few years, just big glow-ups for these teams. Obviously, Shanghai had a tremendous year last year. Florida had a really good year too. Dallas was, up and down depending on when they had the K. But this year, though, there is so much parity between these teams. It's on the meta is just crazy. It's awesome to see.
And now we should move on and talk about our player of the match presented by Xfinity. And this is a rare one. It doesn't happen very often, but it's very deserved. Fielder is your player of the match today, Matt.
Tremendous.
It starts off looking incredible on Batiste, right? Obviously, we know can have huge impact, but it's when it gets on Ana, and we get to see some of the individual mechanics, the playmaking ability of that sort of flex support. I mean, this shield dance was... I cannot believe this. That is a nano boosted Winston in a bubble, and you have to somehow find a way to sleep him, or you're dead in a second.
He did that multiple times, and if you remember back to Busan, he was able to get some first picks in fights on the Batiste, big biotic grenades. Fielder was a boss today. Absolutely changed the game for the Dallas Fuel. And I mean, you look at the numbers are crazy for Batiste. I mean, the healing done per 10 is up there. You know, final blows, putting down some damage. Really instrumental part of the Dallas Fuel's game today, especially in this series.
I mean, final blows per 10, 8.1 is quite considerable there. You saw, you know, both of the Batistes really, you know, having to get involved in doing some of the damage here. But what's impressive is 3.5 deaths per 10. It also is 28 defensive assists per 10 minutes. Now, these are obviously generated by use of one's abilities. This is just Batiste stats, right? Which is insane. So that's kills that he's setting up with sort of regenerative burst and immortality field, crucially. That is unbelievable stuff here. We've really evolved in terms of what's expected of support players in the Overwatch League, Matt, and he has absolutely gone above it and beyond the call of duty. Here is the bracket for your May Melee tournament, Matt. My God. My God.
And what's wild is this felt like a final. People were tweeting to me like, oh my, between like the matches and how hype it was, like today felt like a final. Well, we get another weekend of that with the best from the East, the best from the West. And look at, I mean, the first match, right? Fate going up against the Florida Mayhem in the first match of that one.
It gets better. I mean, Fearless has a potential rematch against his old team as well, if the Shanghai Dragons and the Fuel advance.
Fearless versus Gaga and what the Chengdu Hunters play. Jinmu Sparkle. I mean, it's going to be, I'm so happy. That's going to be such a sick weekend.
I mean, we're not forgetting, of course, the fact that Shanghai make their way through to that tournament because they win this ridiculous upset win against the Fusion as well. There may not be a better time than right now to be an Overwatch fan, ladies and gentlemen, so live it up and enjoy every moment of it. We're going to be back after the break here to wrap things up. From myself and Matt, it's been an absolute pleasure to bring you another battle for Texas. We've got an interview with the anime protagonist of the Overwatch League. It's Fearless after the break.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest and fastest 5G network. Set your sights on the competition with T-Mobile.
Welcome to the Watchpoint Post Show presented by IBM. We are here now, joined by Fearless from Dallas Fuel. Fearless 선수 안녕하세요.
안녕하세요.
All right, my first question for you, Fearless, is you lost against the Outlaws in the first week of the season, but you guys came back strong, beating the Houston Outlaws 3-0 today. What did you guys do differently today compared to when you first went up against Houston Outlaws in the beginning of the week, first week of the season. Sorry for that. 시즌 첫 주에 휴스턴 팀과 벌써 경기를 한번 했는데 그때는 패배를 했지만 오늘은 좀 굉장히 좋은 모습으로 승리를 거두셨는데요. 첫 휴스턴전과 오늘 좀 무엇을 다르게 하셨나요?
일단 솔직히 플레이적으로는 크게 달라진 건 없는데 그냥 저희가 그 휴스턴 처음에 할 때 너무 긴장을 많이 해가지고 그리고 대회 첫판이다 보니까 다들 좀 잘 안 됐던 것 같은데 네, 이번에는 그냥 다들 긴장 없이 잘 이긴 것 같아요. 그게 달랐던 것 같아요.
I think the biggest difference comparing our first time meeting Houston for today's match is the nerves. I think when we first played Houston, it was the first match of the season. It was first match for us. So a lot of the players were, including myself, we were very nervous going into the first match. So compared to that, after playing a couple matches and after a couple weeks, today was a lot different because we didn't get nervous at all and we could sort of play how we usually played. All right, my second question. You guys are going to Hawaii. Congratulations. And in your first match in the May you're welcome. You're welcome. 자, your first match in the May Melee is going to be against Chengdu Hunters. Have you ever watched their games? And if you did, like, what are your expectations of Chengdu going into the May Melee? 네, 방금 들으셨던 것 같아요. 축하드립니다. 하와이 가시는 거.
감사합니다.
네, 그리고 가게 되시면은 청두와 이제 처음으로 이제 경기를 치르시게 될 텐데 청두 팀의 좀 경기를 보신 적이 있는지 또 그리고 좀 청두 팀이 좀 어떨 것 같나요?
청두팀 경기하는 거 한 번 정도 봤던 것 같은데 일단은 제가 이 작년에도 이 청두를 많이 사냥했기 때문에 네, 이번에 좀 그냥 쉽게 3대0으로 이길 것 같습니다.
Right, I believe I watched their game I think once, but other than that, I actually hunted the Chengdu Hunters a lot last season. So I believe our first matchup against the Chengdu Hunters in the May Melee, it is going to be pretty easy. I feel like Dallas Fuel will win 3-0 against the Chengdu Hunters. All right, that is it for the post-match interview. Congratulations again, Fearless and the Dallas Fuel. Thank you so much, and we'll see you guys in the May Melee. 오늘 인터뷰 너무 감사드리고요. 네, 그러면 하와이에서 뵙도록 하겠습니다.
네, 감사합니다.
All right, thank you so much. Head back to the desk. Let's go.
Thank you, Danny. Thank you, Fearless. What a guy! What a guy!
What a guy!
Wow,
what a guy!
What a guy! And let's take a look at their run through our West Region knockouts. That was a very funny pun he threw in there as well, Danny.
Right.
I like it. I like it. We like it. And yeah, let's see. So Florida Mayhem, their first opponent was the Toronto Defiant. They 3-0'd them. Then they went on to face up against the Justice. 3-1 the result. So they've been looking dominant advancing to the May Melee tournament. Then on the other half, we see the Dallas Fuel rocking up. It's the lowest seeded team into this May Melee region knockout bracket. They rocked the shock, no pun intended, 3-0. Then they went up against the Outlaws. 3-0 them. So, I mean, both teams, even in their post-game interviews, they're coming in with confidence, right? Like, everything's just an easy game at this point.
Maybe confidence is the key. Maybe that's what everyone's been doing wrong this whole time. Yaki comes in, says he's going to beat everyone. Fearless comes in, says he's going to beat everyone. I'm honestly, Chengdu Hunters versus Dallas Fuel, it's like, okay, well, you don't have a hit scan though, and like all Chengdu does is really play Pharah. So there's a mismatch coming along somewhere. I just don't know where it's all gonna sit. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm excited for that one. Yeah.
I'm really excited for this matchup because this is my first time, seeing East and West going up together because I wasn't here last year. So I'm really excited for this May Melee tournament. Yay!
Yay! Let's go. Shanghai Dragons. I hope they can keep up that good performance they showed towards the later stages because they had a rocky start into the season and, like expectations on the Shanghai Dragons were so very high. and I feel like they dropped the ball ever so slightly. So I really, really hope that they can like pick it back up in the May Melee tournament when they go up against the Florida Mayhem, which is frankly looking rather good. Now they still have, of course, quite a few days to prepare for one another. Let's hope they actually get that done. So we have some time now to discuss the games we just got to watch. Starting with the last one of the day, of course, we're talking about the Battle of Texas. Dallas going up against Houston, and what a game that was. Dallas, it seems like today they're just speed running their matches. They are actually tied for second fastest Blizzard World attack and fourth fastest Eichenwalde attack. And looking at that team, like everything just snapped into place. Everything just worked out for you. It's ridiculous. Like I don't think anyone would have expected that, other than every Dallas Fuel fan, of course.
No, it's very hard to predict these things, but before the knockouts even started, I think Dallas Fuel still had this like aura of like championship caliber, because we know that they have fantastic players on the roster, like Fearless, Hanbin, Fielder. These guys have been in playoff scenarios before, and when playoffs start, like it's something that just kicks in. Like I can't explain, it's like a magical feeling. It's the same with Seoul Dynasty, where it's like regular season matches are one thing, and then playoff matches are one thing. And it might sound like a joke, but I'm actually curious about Costa's answer here too. Like, it feels like some players, when it comes to playoffs, they just kick into overdrive. And I feel like Dallas Fuel today, they sort of did this same thing where, yeah, of course, they found something that worked for them, they developed their play, credit for that practice working off and them finding their strength. But it's almost like when it comes to the actual playoffs matches, they're not scared. Like, they just go, and they're confident in their abilities and then combine it to something beautiful like the matches we saw today. It's really impressive.
Yeah, I completely agree with Johnny. There's always something with players. Some players thrive in that pressure of the playoffs, and some players crumble, and that's the unfortunate reality of it. It's kind of hard to fix that problem. I personally think this was the first step of breaking the cycle of misery. I don't think in the Dallas Fuel franchise we've ever had this kind of win or this kind of dominant performances. Obviously, they've had some good wins in the past, and that's where the hope comes up, only for you to end up back in the cycle of misery. But I actually think this is a turning of the page, a new leaf for the Dallas Fuel. I think this roster is going to take it to new heights, and I think this is going to be finally the season where they have a good chance to fight for the title, and it's not just kind of a meme of when is it going to crash and burn. I think they have so much back behind them. I think the coaching looks good. I think the adaptation looks good. The roster looks good. I don't see a flaw in this roster. I think it is finally over. Hallelujah, I've been there. Please get us out of this cycle.
You might have just cursed him though, just like throwing it out there.
I'm sorry if I did.
But you know, maybe it's not a cycle anymore. Maybe it's a linear, maybe it's a line of hope now, and not just, you know, the cycle of misery. We'll see where they're going as they progress further into the May Melee. Now, I want to talk about their opposition too, though. Houston Outlaws and their performance today. Did they perform bad though? Like, were they actually bad, or were they just outplayed? Do you feel like there were any crucial mistakes you can even point out?
Not really. I think I was sort of talking to you guys about it as we were coming into this. I think the Houston Outlaws were just a little slow. The tempo in which Dallas Fuel plays is just so aggressive, and I think Houston couldn't keep up with that at times. They did have some good adaptations. We saw Happy go to the Doomfist on the Blizzard World. We even saw, you know, some unique things to try and break what the Dallas Fuel were doing. But Houston Outlaws, I don't think completely underperformed. Kind of like I would say the Shock did. I would just say Dallas Fuel was the much better team today, and they are an unstoppable force in the NA region right now. So you got to keep your heads up if you're a Houston Outlaws fan. This is not a disappointing loss where you feel like it's been a complete failure. Keep your heads up, go on to the next one, because they still are one of the strongest teams we have in the region.
Yeah, they just didn't have an answer for the pace that Dallas Fuel played with today. Like, Dallas Fuel, like, they played so fast. Like, what other team in the Overwatch League plays that fast? Like, they literally just went in. And so I think that Houston Outlaws, even though they were sort of expecting that, they couldn't find an answer, and that's what we saw happen on Blizzard World, where they flexed over, they played the McCree, they played the Doomfist, they were trying to find an answer, and they just couldn't find the answer because Dallas Fuel did something that they hadn't really practiced against, playing with such pace. So credit to the Dallas Fuel. I think the Houston Outlaws were just caught off guard, similarly to the San Francisco Shock, and it's so hard to adapt to that level of pace in the middle of a series. So that's where they fell short, and that's why it looked so dominant for Dallas Fuel today.
Yeah, and if we're thinking back really at that very first match they faced off against each other, Danny, I believe when you interviewed the winner from the Houston Outlaws, I can't remember which player it actually was, but he also said that it was a very close game, mainly because they they had to play against things they're not used to because of the lack of hit scan. Obviously, Dallas Fuel is going to play a little different, and they just didn't know how to deal with that. And I feel like it's a good look and gives me a lot of hope for the Dallas Fuel that they are managing to play around that, not just surviving but thriving in the situation they're actually in. So that is still a good performance by the Houston Outlaws, and they played it close and they had a good first quarter here in our 2021 season. Now moving on to the next game, I want to talk about the Florida Mayhem and the Washington Justice. Now, Florida Mayhem, Yaki, BQB, OG, Gangnam Gym, I could literally name every single player and could say they had a standout performance. They were just on fire today.
Yeah, I wish I could say this was I don't think it is on the same level of Dallas Fuel where I'm like, that was just incredible, their team play. I just think Florida Mayhem were having their day. This is, everything comes together for them. As you said, Zoe, every player had their individual moments, individual pop-offs and that kind of stuff. If they can translate this into Hawaii and into this, finals of the May Melee, they could easily take this whole thing. They could take it to the Dallas Fuel because it was just so oppressive and so aggressive as well. They might be one of the few teams that can actually match the pace of the Dallas Fuel. Whether or not we'll see them in the grand finals, time will tell who's better, East or West. But Florida Mayhem, I'm just so impressed with them today.
Yeah, it's also one of those things where Washington Justice, they're still trying to figure things out. Because in every series Washington has played, it hasn't been dominant. It hasn't been flawless, and that's, like Costa said earlier, that's why also he predicted the Florida Mayhem to win, because Washington Justice, they haven't shown us them just clicking and just playing at 100% of their game and everything going right. It is a bit up and down, they win the series, but they lose a map here and there, it looks a bit indecisive. It's not incredible Overwatch being played by the Washington Justice. They have the individual skill, the K is phenomenal, but things are not exactly clicking for the Washington Justice yet. I think they have to polish that. Maybe with some sandpaper we can see some fantastic performances from them down the line, because they do have the individual skill. But for the Mayhem, they're the team that has played the most together. They have the most practice and confidence as a group, as a team. And that's what really made the difference today. And that's why they won against the Washington Justice today. And I'm fearful that this now actually still has Danny Lim's prediction that Florida Mayhem might win the May Melee still alive. I cannot believe he's still getting away with it. The actual prophet said that Florida Mayhem is going to win the May Melee, and here they are.
Prophets be prophets. Let's actually take a look at our predictions for today and see how Danny does it. I'm rooting for some of you.
Yes.
They hurt me too. Okay, it was everything was good up until here, and this is where it went wrong. This is where we got hurt.
We did it.
Oh, not the leaderboard, right? Yeah, skip the leaderboard.
Climbing up the ranks. Give me the leaderboard. Give it to me. I've never been this high. The air's so light up here. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Why is Danny ahead of me? Now I want to open this can of worms as well. How is he? I guess we are tied 1, but I'm coming.
If it goes in the order of the desk and how we stand, just to make it easy.
And also, if you think about it, I've been there. And I'm just coming back. Costa, this is your first time being on the top, so,
Actually true, first time ever. I don't think you ever made it to the top last season.
I thought we were buddies.
I
thought we had
priority.
something after today, and you're just going to kick me down like that? Yes,
but also, Costa, you already announced to Danny that as soon as you both reach number 1, it's a war from then
That is
onwards.
true.
You already told him that you're going to kick him off the cliff.
Costa said there could be only one winner, so I was like, okay. All right.
That does sound like something I would say. Yeah, definitely said that.
Well, as we're sharpening our knives here on the desk, we'll take a very quick break, and then afterwards we're back with our best of the day, so don't go anywhere.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official refreshment of the Overwatch League, and by IBM, the official cloud and AI partner of the Overwatch League.
Welcome back to the Watchpoint Post Show presented by IBM. The May Melee tournament is set. So let's take a look at the bracket as these teams will travel to Hawaii this week. And we'll see the best from the West take on the beasts of the East.
Oh, nice. Hey, nice.
Adding some S's and it works out kinda. Right, so let's take a look at that May Melee tournament bracket. Now, Shanghai Dragons, Florida Mayhem. It's, man, I don't know. Like, it is, again, recency bias because we don't really get to watch that many APAC matches. It's really hard for me personally to gauge their strength. So I don't know. I mean, we rewatch them, kind of, but do you feel in tune with where they're at?
I find the biggest problem that I have, especially with the Shanghai Dragons, is they've been so inconsistent throughout this entirety of the May Melee. I don't think many people were expecting them to take down the Philadelphia Fusion, and the Shanghai Dragons looked like a different beast. So, I can't... A part of me does want to say I think the Shanghai Dragons might be one of the best teams, but after seeing Dallas Fuel today, I don't know. But like, yeah, you just, if you watch this match, you should go back and watch this match if you have not watched Shanghai versus Philly. It was so good. There were so many pop-off moments. We think we had some crazy matches today. Go have a look at this one. There was just so much back and forth. The best players of the East really showing it. It's honestly disappointing that we can't see all of these teams, you know, compete in the finals because it kind of feels like Philly was a little robbed. They had a great May Melee, but then fell short at the final out.
Oh yeah, it was the same story about the Philadelphia Fusion, just not being able to get far enough and finally win something. The Shanghai Dragons, I mean, yes, they won this series, but as Costa said, I do have some concerns with their consistency because, like we've seen in the qualifier matches, like Shanghai Dragons, they tried to play Reinhardt comps on Icon Valley Point A, and they just walked into a room repeatedly for 4 minutes. Like, it was the most ridiculous gameplay I've ever seen. Like, it was horrible. No, for really, like, a horrible Overwatch gameplay. And then they come out and beat Fusion in a Reinhardt Rush composition. So this is the inconsistency we're dealing with here with the Shanghai Dragons. So I don't really think we know the answer for how good they're going to be in the actual knockout matches. But like we've covered today, like some teams, when it comes to the playoffs, they just turn it on. And knowing the Shanghai Dragons, what we saw from them last year, Coach Moon, they could turn that ship around and actually give us really good performances next week. So gotta be wary.
Maybe going up against Philadelphia Fusion. Right? Maybe going up against Philadelphia Fusion was like their turning point. Maybe they found that answer. Yeah. And maybe now they're gonna go back to how the Dragons were last season. And like Coach
the thing is, right, you can look really good against one team and then absolutely atrocious against another team because they obviously, you know, not everything's the same. So it's a bit of a coin toss, I feel like, a lot of the times where you never know which team shows up, basically. And that's just the reality of things. That's why we can predict and we can brainstorm and like crunch the numbers as much as we want. We still don't know in what kind of state the team will be in, and like it's really just a guessing game for all of us. But it's a fun one, to say the least. So my pick'ems are absolutely destroyed at this point. I don't know where you at. Danny, your dream is still alive, kinda. Is that correct?
I think so, but I don't remember if I did all my pick'ems until this stage, or like right now.
Oh, did you pull a Costa?
Did you not do your pick'ems like me? I didn't do the stage playoffs pick'ems. I did everything. I had a great weekend, and then I threw.
Because I remember, I was like, okay, let me watch a couple games before the knockout rounds, and then I'll decide. And then I don't think I got back to it. I'll check out the broadcast.
It doesn't matter because you guys wouldn't have picked Florida and won Dallas anyway. Like, no one did. Like, who did? Give me a stat. Overwatch League Twitter account. I know you're watching. I know you're here. Give us a stat. How many people predicted Florida and Dallas to go through?
Actually, I have
a good question.
I have someone in my Discord, shout out to 10K, who actually got all 4 qualifiers exactly right, which is absurd. I don't understand how he did it. He doesn't even know how he did it. So, big shout out to them. I don't think there were many people who predicted all these 4.
That's true.
I mean, yeah, but every once in a while, a blind chicken finds a corn too. Or how the saying goes.
A broken clock is right 2 times a day.
Yeah.
There we go. Also a great one. Any more? Are we good?
No. I'm not saying that Costa subscriber is a broken clock, but you know.
I also didn't call him a blind chicken, just to make that clear. Like we're not there like randomly insulting people on Discord.
Backpedal.
What a moment. Anyway, going from this, you know, a blunder to the best of the day, because there were plenty of those to choose from. And again, teams make it really hard. There's just so many good things. Danny, let's start with you. what tickled your fancy today?
Tickled my fancy. I love that phrase. Tickled my fancy. What tickled my fancy? Sparkle's uppercut on Juby, I would say. If you guys remember on Busan, that really tickled my fancy. Oh yeah, right there.
Judy.
See that uppercut? I think Juby was trying to go and touch the point because they were about to lose. And then just Sparkle comes in and was like, oh nope, and he goes uppercut. And then yep. That was my Doomfist impersonation. Uppercut.
Wow.
And they say.
Yep.
Just like in the game.
And they say.
Yeah.
And they say.
Actual voice line.
Yeah.
To the moon, sometimes.
To the moon, to the moon. The Stonks are going to the moon, especially for them. My best of the day was actually also on Busan. It's on the exact same point as well, but this is actually going to be a Hanbin play, and I actually love this from the Dallas Fuel and from Hanbin because it reminds me of like the movies when they're like holding the castle and they're like holding the gates. And as they're like charging forward, all of a sudden a big troll comes through. That is what this Diva Bomb is from Hanbin. They're all on the point. They set the teleporter onto the high ground. The Houston Outlaws go to rush it to sort of get the advantage, but what happens is Hanbin actually throws his bomb straight through it and just creates this massive like sort of change of dynamic in the fight, and you just see the Houston Outlaws are on the back foot. It actually lands on top of Piggy because of the beat. He doesn't die. But yeah, it was just a great heads-up play by Dallas, and this just sort of goes to highlight what we're saying. The tempo from Dallas was insane.
Yeah, but Cave Troll.
Hanbin is a Cave Troll, that's what I said.
No, the Diva Bomb. The Diva Bomb. Let's be specific here. I mean, I also have a Dallas Fuel Best of the Day clip. I mean, it's a big surprise at this point. Like, they were dominant, but that's how it goes. I mean, the Dallas Fuel, they were just ridiculous. Just the way that they won these two matches, it was just unbelievable. So my best of the day is actually just them speed running Eichenwalde and Blizzard World against San Francisco Shock and the Houston Outlaws. Because usually, in Overwatch history, typically we have really close playoff matches. Like, we've actually been blessed in Overwatch history with fantastic playoff matches that are really close, goes down to the wire, and then Dallas Fuel, they're just like, nah, we're just gonna get a 4-minute timer on the Blizzard World and Eichenwalde. Like, it almost feels like the Vancouver Titans in 2019, but that's like the only example I have. Like, Dallas Fuel, we've never seen a team so dominant, just crush championship contenders like this. So, incredible display by the Dallas Fuel, unprecedented really, loved watching it, and I can't wait to see more of them in the May Melee playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Big thing. Unsurprisingly, Dallas Fuel are also featured in my best of the day, but not quite like one would expect. My best of the day is Jonathan watching. Because I just think
what?
Yeah, no, just sometimes you gotta triple down on it. So let's cue that one up. I'm not enjoying your pain or your suffering.
You need to be concerned with this one.
Because in my mind,
Johnny,
you are early on in the season.
Watching.
The best part of this is they're figuring things out. Last year they lost to both LA teams early on.
But I'm not
now as well. They have been struggling a little bit, especially with the player rotations. We haven't seen that much of Glister. Violet has been put on the DPS role at times. And really, I think that this is,
Why did you bring the Dallas Fuel? What's
that
wrong
not
with
everything
you?
is peace and quiet and just
have a
joyous
word
in
with
the
yourself. What would you tell you?
And that is not what you want to go into this match, especially against Dallas Fuel. Great fundamentals, great engagement, great ability and ultimate usage. This is a really scaled down ability. And meanwhile,
Johnny's actually turning red. Johnny's actually turning red. He's actually furious.
He's so
doubling down on the 480p guys, okay?
Need to be on top of their A game today if they want to. Oh my lord.
We're getting 3 shades of Johnny right here. He's just the same pose. He did the exact same pose.
Did it again.
This needs to stop. I'm not happy for you. Unbelievable. Who put that on?
This is
best of the day.
Actually.
Round of applause for Johnson.
I
can't. You know how to say you should sometimes, like if you could go back in time, talk to your past self, what advice would you give yourself? I just gave you an insane opportunity here in Force. A lot of people are jealous about that. Yeah.
I don't want to talk.
Okay.
Well, I'll see you guys. I'll see you guys next week.
I'm so
That's
excited
alright.
for the playoffs.
Yeah,
It's gonna be great.
Where did he go? Oh,
We
well.
lost him. He's
fish
probably
him
below
from-
over there. He's
yeah.
probably right there.
He went where we can't film him to then show him the footage again. So
Yeah.
that's clever, smart move. He is currently sitting on the last place, but everything can change. We still have so many more unpredictable matches to come our way, and all the action will of course start with the May Melee kicking off this very Thursday at 6 p.m. PT with a special edition of Watchpoint where we're gonna see some really cool 1v1s. We're gonna have a lot of fun. This guy, what was his name? Sideshow?
I think it was Mr. Egg.
something?
Mr. Egg?
Oh, Mr. Egg,
Yeah,
yeah, I don't know.
Uncle
But
Egg.
he's going to be
Alright.
playing against actual players, so it's going to be absolute banter. Banter
Yeah.
here. It's going to be fun. It's great
If
fun.
Yaki takes a dive again, I'm gonna be upset. So it all went to Sideshow's head, but if you watched it last time, Yaki took a dive. I don't know who paid him off, but yeah. Sideshow paid his way to the Overwatch League. You heard it here first.
Whoa. Tough call out.
okay.
And on that note, on this very note, I want to end the show. Thank you so much for joining. Reinforce is fine, don't worry, but maybe say
I hate this place.
Just throwing it out. We love you too, big brother.
love you, Johnny.
We're
We'll miss
out for today. Thank you so much for joining us here for the knockout rounds. It's been great fun, and we will be back again on Thursday, 6 p.m. PT. You don't want to miss the action.
Thursday, 6 p.m.
Like and subscribe. Like the video.
Thursday, 6 p.m. Okay?
Yeah.
Thursday, 6 p.m. 목요일
Thursday, 6
6시. That's what that was.